Welcome back to the Stretch the Floor podcast. I'm Matt, and I'm here with Venusian, and we are officially at the day before the draft, but kind of that is not on anyone's minds right now because yesterday was the first day that trades could start happening, and I know you and I and kind of everyone in the NBA world was hoping for an eventful Monday and Tuesday, and it did not disappoint. Five major trades happened, one minor trade happened, and there's a million rumors going around, so we're going to kind of just break all that down right now. There's a high chance a trade's going to happen mid podcast, so I'm going to be checking my phone throughout, and we'll keep you updated. But I think we got to get into the biggest trade first, which I think is Chris Paul to the Phoenix Suns, which was not one of the biggest rumored teams. With all the Chris Paul rumors in the start of the offseason and even going back to last season, but I think it's a pretty good fit. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a pretty good fit. It's gonna probably get them into the playoffs and secure them like top six seed. I'm predicting. They have a good starting lineup now with Chris Paul, Booker, Bridges, Johnson, and Ayton. But the problem is their bench. Like, who do they have besides Cameron Payne? They have to re-sign Aaron Baines, so they don't even have him right now. But yeah, it's not something that's gonna wake them win a championship because the Suns weren't a Chris Paul away from a championship.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes Devin Booker happy, and it's probably gonna get him to stay happy for the rest of his contract at least, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah, so the trade was CP3 for Kelly Oubre, Ricky Rubio, Ty Jerome, and someone I've never heard of called Jalen Leck.
Yeah,
But yeah, so like you said, they don't really have much of a bench right now. But as an organization, this is a move that they needed to make because Booker was probably looking like the next star who was going to start asking out of his current situation. So yeah, this is going to keep him happy for. Like Chris Paul is probably the player that you want to get if you want to make your current superstar happy because he just kind of makes the whole team better and doesn't really dominate the ball either. Uh, so you said you think this is going to get them to a 6 seed. I agree with that,
yeah,
but I think Chris Paul definitely would have signed off on this trade. I think there was a mutual respect in OKC, and I don't think they would have traded him somewhere that he would not have signed off on. What do you think?
yeah. The other teams that probably were offering him like contracts were probably the Knicks and like
Yeah,
maybe the Hornets or something like that. And obviously, if he goes to the Knicks or Hornets, it's just to like play out his contract. Can't really contend. Maybe make the 8 seed because that's how good of a player he is, but
yeah,
not really do anything else. The problem with staying in the West though is this team could still miss the playoffs. So that's kind of risky and it's going to be interesting to see.
yeah. The thing is, it seems like wherever Chris Paul goes, he just kind of makes them play better than they look on paper. Like no one really expected anything out of OKC. I mean, people expected them to maybe be in the 8 seed race, but they were comfortably in the playoffs and had a really good first round series. Um, so I wouldn't be surprised if they make even higher than a 6 seed. Like I said, they're not winning a championship. But if Chris Paul signed off on this is probably the best option out of all the teams that realistically could have landed him. And I don't know what the Bucks were offering. Obviously, as we're going to talk about soon, the Bucks are pretty comfortable giving up a lot for good point guards.
Yeah.
But I like the fit for him. I think they're going to be a playoff team, and I also like the return for Oklahoma City because Oubre is a pretty good young player. Ricky Rubio is a pretty decent point guard, and
That pick, that
yeah,
pick
that
could be
pick,
pretty good.
yeah,
Yeah. The thing is, who's OKC's third scorer? I mean, not OKC's. Who's the Suns' third scorer? Like we know
yeah,
Booker's gonna get 25.
yeah,
Chris Paul is not what he used to be. He's gonna only get you 16 points. It's a very impactful 16, but that's
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Like they need a second 20-point scorer who consistently gets that day in, day out. Bridges hasn't showed any signs of that. Johnson hasn't showed any sign of that. We already talked about them having no bench. So
yeah.
this is a lot of pressure on DeAndre Ayton.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has to be a 20 and 10 guy.
And he was in the bubble. He was like we kind of did in our bubble winners episode. Everyone on the Suns was a winner, and DeAndre Ayton looked kind of like the first overall pick that he was in the bubble. So I mean, yeah, it is a lot of pressure. And if there's any player who can get the most out of a guy like DeAndre Ayton, it's Chris Paul. So I mean, this could be the breakout season for him next year.
Yeah, and DeAndre Ayton has he's gonna get shouted at if he doesn't
Oh yeah,
anchor that defense. Chris Paul's gonna give it to him. So this is this is kind of setting up for like a DeAndre Ayton season where he
Yeah.
kind of elevates himself. Because if he's just that 18-8 guy that we seen last regular season, this team's probably gonna miss the playoffs. Because we've only seen with the current trades, we see obviously the Thunder falling out of the playoffs. But we obviously assume Golden State's gonna come in and take that spot. So for the Suns to like elevate beyond a Mavs or a Portland, they really need DeAndre Ayton to be a top 5 center in this league.
Yeah. And I guess we can move on to the next trade. Some other West teams are making moves, and the first one, the biggest one, I guess, is the Bucks acquired Drew Holiday from the Pelicans for a way bigger haul than I thought anyone could ever get for Drew Holiday. Eric Bledsoe, George Hill, 3 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps.
Yeah, are the Bucks crazy? Like, why they give up so many picks? But
Is
they just
this
had to do this.
is this is this Bledsoe Hill 3 firsts and 2 pick swaps basically a trade for Drew Holiday and Giannis? Is that basically what it is?
Yeah, people were saying that last year when Paul George signed
Mm-hmm.
with the Clippers.
Yeah.
It's like, don't look at all the picks just for Paul George. Think about
Yeah.
it as Paul George plus Kawhi. And if it's Drew Holiday plus Giannis, sure, that makes sense.
Sure.
But do you even see Drew Holiday as a second option for a championship team?
That's the thing. Like I don't. We all know that the Bucks needed a second playmaker, a second guy who can score but also create his own shot and make everyone else on the team better. And Drew Holiday is a really good player. I don't really see him as a pure point guard, the pure point guard that they needed. But they also acquired Bogdanovic, which we're going to talk about in a second. I think Drew Holiday is a really good fit on any team that he goes to, and he's just as good as Eric Bledsoe defensively. I think shoots
Yeah.
a 3 a little bit better, and I think he's a really perfect fit for their team.
Yeah, I like the fit wise, but man, like he is 30. Has 1 year on his contract.
Yeah.
And if he leaves, because these picks are in 2025 and 2027 or something like that. So it's way in the future. So even if Giannis signs a supermax for 5 years, that pick is after that supermax.
Yeah.
So like
That's crazy.
it's a crazy haul. It's
Yeah.
amazing for the Pelicans. I think no one is gonna say anything for the Pelicans. It's amazing for them.
Amazing for the Pelicans. What do you think they do with Eric Bledsoe though? Do you think he stays there?
No, I think Eric Bledsoe is underrated. People are gonna consider that a hot take. But
Yeah.
he was all NBA first team in defense 2 years ago. He was all NBA second team defense last year. A team put him next to a Jamal Murray where he doesn't need to handle the ball at all, and he just plays defense. And I like that, man. And he's not a bad 3-point shooter. He's just average. So
Yeah.
I can't see him. I could see him getting moved for like a 20th pick or maybe even 2 seconds.
Yeah, I agree. I think he was probably properly rated, and then he caught way too much hate for just a couple of bad playoffs, and now he's probably underrated because he's one of the best point guard defenders in the league, and he can do a lot of things on offense in the right situation, like you said. So I think I would try to move him and get something for him if I'm the Pelicans, but even if he stays there, it's probably not the end of the world for them.
And they could probably move George Hill as well for a couple seconds too, because he's a pretty good backup point guard.
Even at the deadline or something, they could probably do that. So the Bucks also acquired Bogdan Bogdanovic, which they were in the rumors for, and I actually really like what the Bucks gave up for him. They only gave up DiVincenzo and Ilyasova and DJ Wilson. Now that's kind of their whole bench, but I think he fits their team, like I said, really well. He's another playmaker, another guy who can shoot, create his own shot, and make the team better. And that's kind of the exact kind of player you need to put around Giannis.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's shot 40% from catch and shoots. He could play make, and he's clutch. He has hit game winners. He only has 3 years in the NBA, and he's hit a couple game winners. And you just put a player like him next to Drew Holiday, next to Middleton, next to Giannis, next to Brook Lopez, and you maybe have the best starting 5 basketball right now.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting to see how they play because Bogdanovic's playmaking is also underrated. Like he could definitely take people off their dribble and create for Brook Lopez a little bit or create for Middleton.
Mm-hmm.
And people are always going to stress this bench. But like you could play your starters, like 2 of them could always be on the court, right? So like even if you
Yeah.
have like a Jeremy Lin and like a Tyler Johnson or whatever, someone that
Hmm.
just comes in, shoots threes, plays defense,
Yeah.
you're gonna be able to like hold by for a couple minutes.
So Jeremy Lin's winning another championship this year is what you're
I
saying.
hope so. I hope so. I hope he makes it on that Bucks team.
Yeah. So I think so they basically traded away their whole bench to have potentially the best starting five or one of the best starting fives in the NBA. Is this management's way of forcing Coach Bud to actually play his starters real minutes in the playoffs?
Yeah. There's a lot of rumors going around, not actual rumors, but joke rumors about Coach Bud and
Yeah.
Tom Thibodeau getting traded because they have
Yeah.
no bench,
Yeah.
and he's gonna have to play in 36 minutes, kind of like Nick
Yeah.
Nurse did with the
Yeah.
Raptors.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna make them better in the playoffs because in the playoffs you're gonna have to play 36 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully Bud changes, and if he doesn't change, he's gonna get fired.
Yeah. And what their bench looks like now is not what it's going to look like going into the playoffs because of veterans and all that
Yeah,
stuff. So it's obviously going to get a little bit better. And there's a lot of guys on the market, like you said.
yeah, and they have two
So
second-round picks from the Pelicans, which they
yeah,
could pick up some
yeah,
solid young pieces.
yeah, yeah, true. So okay, so where do you think this obviously elevates the Bucks in the race for? Are they East favorites now?
I can't put him over that Nets team. I'm too much of a Kevin Durant believer, I
Mhm.
guess. I just think him and Kyrie are gonna work really well together, especially with probably getting a third star soon.
Yeah, I think obviously like healthy Durant, I would put them over. It's going to be between the Nets and the Bucks, but I think the Bucks. This is the moves that they had to make if they just ran it back and the same problems got exposed in the playoffs. Giannis would probably have left. And even if he doesn't stay after this, I think they have a really, really good shot at winning the East and going to the finals and potentially winning a finals with this because they kind of have everything you need to guard all the best teams in the league. Like they can guard
Yeah,
LeBron with Giannis, they can guard AD with Giannis, Lopez, whatever.
Giannis, Giannis. Yeah,
Giannis guards every
yeah,
player. But yeah, I just really like the team. I think it's really balanced. A lot of playmaking, a lot of scoring, a lot of defense, even better than last year. So
yeah. And if Giannis signs that supermax coming, what, December 21st or something like that, it's going to change a lot of aspects and how aggressive teams are
yeah,
pursuing trades.
yeah,
One team being the Toronto Raptors, because we know they would really push hard if they know Giannis is not signing that supermax. But if he does sign that supermax, then Siakam, a player like Siakam, becomes untouchable. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does with his contract because it could really shake up. Just him
yeah,
not even signing this December could change teams' futures.
yeah, yeah. That's a really good point. Okay, so moving on. Another big trade was the defending champion Lakers acquired. It's not official yet, but it's pretty much all but confirmed. Dennis Schroder for Danny Green in the 28th pick.
Yeah, that's a steal. Like
Yeah,
the like Rob Pelinka, I think this is his best move as a GM.
yeah,
Like the AD trade fell into his lap, signing LeBron fell into his lap. But this is incredible.
yeah,
What did he get? 28 pick is like Nico Madeline,
yeah. Nico
Cassius
Mannion,
Winston.
whatever. Cassius Winston.
Like the damn Dennis Shooter is so much better than those guys.
Yeah,
And Dennis Shooter is going to be so much better than those guys for the next 6 years. Like it's incredible. Like I have no reason. I have no idea why OKC made that steal.
hmm.
Like obviously Dennis Shooter, it must have been dry for him, the market.
I
But
guess it must have been. Yeah,
yeah,
we
they
thought
let
the
him go.
Warriors would have been players for him, but I
Yeah,
guess they weren't that aggressive.
yeah. I thought the Warriors would offer like 4 second-round picks, and like
Hmm.
that would be better than one
Yeah,
late
yeah,
first rounder.
yeah,
So
yeah,
like I was completely shocked by this trade. Yeah,
yeah. And they you could say that they gave up the perimeter defense of Danny Green, but they just won the championship without
yeah,
Avery Bradley. So Avery Bradley just going to come in and basically be Danny Green or better on the defensive end and I could hit better threes than Danny Green did throughout the whole playoff. So they're not really losing anything that way. Uh, and then
and a
Dennis
player
Schroeder is going to
like
slide right into that starting point guard role. It's going to be perfect.
yeah, and a player like Wesley Matthew, he's gonna sign for a
Yeah,
vet minimum.
yeah,
And I think someone that just shoots threes and plays defense wants to play with LeBron James. Like
yeah.
that's the
I think
best
so.
case
Yeah,
scenario for him. So he's easily replaceable.
yeah.
And this is a huge like W for the Lakers. Like that's it's simple as that. Like they got so much better.
Huge, huge
Yeah.
W. Yeah, just being able to have they could probably just have two of Schroder, AD, and LeBron on the court at all times, and not have to. They can
Yeah,
play LeBron a few fewer minutes even in the regular season throughout the playoffs. It's just going to be perfect.
yeah, and a Schroder and an AD led team could beat like the Knicks, could beat the Hornets, could
Yeah.
beat
Oh yeah.
like these lower end teams. So like LeBron just has more opportunity to rest now.
Yeah.
And I said really low end teams there, but they could beat decently
Oh,
competitive teams
I think
too.
so too. Yeah.
Like I think they could beat the Spurs. Like they could give anyone a run for their money. So like this just gives LeBron so much rest. And we seen what happens when LeBron's rested and ready for the playoffs.
Yeah. This is the perfect move they had to make. I don't think they need to make any other moves other than just picking up fringe guys here,
Fring.
bench guys here and there. I
Yeah,
think as of now they've got. I think they have to be championship favorites again.
yeah, easily.
Yeah. And so the final noteworthy trade that happened was Robert Covington kind of surprisingly got traded from Houston to Portland for Trevor Ariza and 2 first-round picks. What do you think of that price?
2 first round picks is a lot for Covington.
Yeah.
And he got traded for 2 first round picks this deadline as well. So maybe it's not a lot for Covington. Maybe this
Yeah, I
is
guess
his
not.
trade value.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's on a good contract. He makes 12 million. They could sign someone else for 9.1 in free agency. They're
Yeah.
gonna have a starting lineup of Dame, CJ, probably Melo still on the vet minimum, Covington, Nurkic. They're gonna have a nice sixth man on that 9 million. Then they're gonna have Gary Trent Jr. They're still gonna have Anthony Simmons, Nazir Little, Zach Collins. So they're building around Dame and CJ. I just can't see Dame and CJ winning a championship together. But it's a good
Yeah.
team. It's gonna be able to compete with everyone, and they're gonna be able to push every single series to like 6 games. I just don't see them winning against the
Yeah.
Lakers.
And like I agree with you that I don't think Dame and CJ are going to win a championship together, but the one piece that they could have used as the one thing that they could have used as an excuse for their first round exit was just absolutely no wing defenders to throw at a guy like LeBron. Now you get Robert Covington, who's a 6'9" athletic defender who can shoot threes. He's kind of exactly what they needed. Even though I mean Trevor Ariza was exactly what they needed if he didn't play, right?
Yeah,
So, and Covington's a younger, better Trevor Ariza. I think
yeah,
it's a good move. And if this doesn't work out, if they're another first round exit or another second round exit, this is probably when they blow it up after this. I think.
yeah. I just can't see them ever truly blowing it up. I can see
Mhm.
them like trading CJ maybe, but I can't see them blowing it up. Like I think Dame Lillard is just gonna be
Yeah.
like a
Okay. Maybe. Yeah.
like a Karl
Maybe.
Malone, John Stockton type player where they just like stay on one team for the whole career.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
that's it.
not blow it up, but like trade CJ, keep everyone except Dame, and just try to completely rebuild on the fly
Yeah,
around Dame.
yeah.
So there was one very minor trade. Uh, the
Bruce Bowen,
Pistons, yeah, Bruce Brown,
Bruce Brown, my bad.
for to the Nets for I don't know how to pronounce his first name for Musa.
Yeah,
Uh, really earth shattering trade here. I think the Nets were in the rumors for a third star, and I think they got
I
it.
think they got it. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, but he's a good defender. He could score. He could shoot. He's gonna be a good bench shooting guard. And they
yeah,
gave rid of Musa. Musa's literally identical to Krukos. They're
yeah.
both
He
like six
literally,
nine shooters,
yeah,
and they gave away a second round pick, so they didn't trade a lot to get him. And
yeah,
on the Pistons side, they get a nice young 6'9" shooter, test them out, and they get a
yeah,
second round pick. Not bad.
yeah. Okay, so speaking of the Rockets and speaking of the Nets, kind of the thing that's been talked about more than any of these huge trades that have gone down is James Harden turned down a 2-year $50 million
Per
or
year.
per year extension and has apparently asked to be traded specifically to the Nets. Do you buy this? Is it real? And do you want it to happen?
I don't think it's real. I think James Harden wants his own team. I think that's
That's what I would think too.
yeah. And he on Instagram, he went and showed the pictures of like bottle caps
Bottle caps, yeah, yeah,
saying cap.
cap,
Yeah, so yeah, I just don't think it's true. I think if he wants to get traded, it would be to the Sixers. Makes the most sense for
yeah,
James Harden personally, and it makes the most sense for like both teams.
yeah,
So like I just can't see why he wants to go be second fiddle to Kevin Durant. And I can't see Kyrie accepting this trade too.
No, not at all. It doesn't
Yeah,
make this makes no sense to me for on any side. So first of all, why would James Harden, unless he wants a ring that bad, why would he want to be traded to a team where he's going to be
second.
second? And yeah, like he's one of the best players in the league, one of the best shooting guards of all time. He
Yeah,
definitely wants his own team. And then on the Nets side, I wouldn't sign off on this if I'm KD or Kyrie. Definitely not Kyrie. And KD, the last thing he needs is to be on another super team with another big three of three Hall of Famers and not get
yeah,
any credit for any ring that he might win. And I think KD wants to reestablish himself as the best player in the league, and that's not the way to do it. To bring James Harden onto your team,
yeah,
and then, but then I don't understand why the Rockets are trading away Robert Covington if if there's not other stuff going on that team. That just doesn't make sense. If you're trying to still win with James Harden, why are you trading away Robert Covington? So
yeah.
is he actually getting moved? Is there a mystery team? Is it the Sixers? Because I'd like to see that. That's something
Yeah.
that we talked about before.
I think Ben Simmons is being underrated just because he can't shoot.
Yeah.
Like, there's 15 players that made all NBA teams. Ben Simmons was one of them. You're getting a
Yeah.
top 15 player, not according to rankings, like not according to what you say, I say.
Yeah.
NBA, all NBA teams. You're getting a
Yeah.
top 15 player. And then you're going to get like probably Matisse and Shake, two young guys are with him. And it's pretty easy to build around Ben Simmons with the pieces they already have, just straight up shooters.
Yeah.
And you just hope he becomes the next Giannis. And for the Sixers, like James Harden and Joel Embiid sounds really, really good. Like that sounds LeBron AD level good.
Yeah.
And if you could be the Lakers of the East, I think they'll be happy with that. And that's the trade I see as realistic. And if talks between the Sixers and Houston Rockets start getting reported, I'll start believing that. But right now, I think the Rockets just want to see if they could fix that relationship, see what could happen. But one thing I would like as a fan is Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Serge Ibaka, all on the same team. And that could happen. They just need to trade Kyrie.
Yeah. Kyrie for I don't even know how that would work, but yeah.
Like Kyrie, Dinwiddie, LeVert,
Yeah, yeah.
and Allen, send them all over for Westbrook and James
Yeah.
Harden.
OKC
Sign
reunion.
that would be insane. I think
That
that
would
would be
be
one of
insane.
that would be one of the most fan favorite teams of
Yeah.
all time.
Personally, as a fan, I want to see that Sixers trade happen. I don't know if it's going to happen because I think the hiring of Doc Rivers bought the Simmons Embiid pair another year or two at least.
Yeah.
And I think they would let Doc try to have a go at that potentially all-time great duo before they split it up. But
Yeah.
as a fan, I would love to see Embiid play with James Harden. I'd love to see Simmons on his own team with a bunch of shooters like that.
Yeah, and you talked about those two picks and why they kind of did the trade for getting rid of Covington. I think it's to get a center. I
Okay.
think I think they're just going to
Okay.
trade for a center. I think going to use Trevor Ariza, two picks, maybe PJ Tucker,
I
get a
didn't even
center
think of that.
in.
That actually makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I
they have
did not think of that.
picks. They have no picks. They
Yeah.
traded it all for Westbrook and Covington, so
Okay.
they have no picks. So I think they're just getting the picks to trade for a center. Try to tell both the two superstars, hey, let's run it back one more year.
Yeah.
Got your center now to guard AD. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, like as much as I would love to see Simmons on that team, I think you have to go to you only trade Harden if the relationship is absolutely unsalvageable. You have to try
Yeah,
to salvage that relationship. James Harden is one of the best scorers of all time and is definitely good enough to win a championship
yeah,
just given the right team. So I think you
yeah,
have to hold on to that.
yeah. And another team that was rumored as a super long shot was the Raptors, and it was
Yeah.
Siakam. And the thought process was Siakam and Giannis play very similar positions, play very similarly. So you get James Harden in,
Yeah.
you get Kyle Lowry, you get Giannis, and
Mm-hmm.
next year basically guaranteed to win a championship.
Yeah.
And for the Rockets, it would obviously make sense because you're getting an All NBA second team player. Like I don't think you're gonna get like that level of player back for James Harden realistically. So you get him and picks. Like that would be pretty interesting for them. But obviously, this is a super long shot. Like Giannis has to not sign a super max. Giannis has to give an implication to Masai. Like he has to either it be a rumor, or he just calls up and tells him, "Hey, I don't like how this team's performing. I'm coming
Yeah.
next year."
Yeah.
Like it's super unrealistic, but that would be every Raptors fan's dream duel.
Yeah, like it's a super long shot, but we know that out of all general managers, team presidents, Masai Ujiri always evaluates all the possible options. No one expecting them to be players for Kawhi Leonard, and we all know how that worked out. So
Yeah.
I would not be shocked if we start hearing more James Harden to the Raptors rumors. But
Yeah.
like you said, I think it has to be James Harden and Giannis if they're
Yeah.
gonna do that. I don't think they would get, even though James Harden's a million times better than Siakam. I don't think they would trade Siakam if they didn't think they were gonna get Giannis.
Yeah. And that would be probably the best. I think that duo would it would compete against LeBron and AD.
I think it would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not get too like Raptors fanboyed out here, but
Yeah.
yeah. So that
Yeah.
there have not been any more trades recently. I just got an update though saying that Meek Mill is recruiting James Harden to the 76ers. So I don't know if that counts as a rumor, but
Yeah. Well, we got Drake, so hopefully he can step in.
yeah. So this is, I guess that does it for all the trades that have happened. 5 huge trades. The Bucks look a lot better. The Suns are continuing to build on what they started in the bubble. Devin Booker is hopefully going to be happy now,
Yeah.
and the Bucks have no future. The Bucks, it's basically
Yeah.
championship or bust for the next 2 years for them.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. This is kind of the best 2 weeks to be recording podcast because we had all these trades yesterday and today. The draft is tomorrow, and 5 days from now, free agency starts. So this is going to be insane over the next week or two. And thank you guys for listening to this trade recap. And make sure to come back for our thoughts on the draft and our thoughts on how free agency is going, because it's going to be 2 days in, I think, by the time we record next.
Yeah. Big Fred VanVleet free agency.
Yeah. Fred VanVleet, never thought I'd say it, but Fred VanVleet is the top free agent in the 2020 class.
Yeah. Technically
And
80.
well, technically, yeah, okay, true.
Yeah.
I guess some more news is DeMar DeRozan and Andre Drummond both unsurprisingly picked up their player options.
I think the news is Gordon Hayward.
Oh, my
didn't
bad.
pick up
Yeah,
his
my
player
bad.
option.
Yeah. How did
Yeah.
I forget that? Gordon Hayward didn't decide yet if he wants to pick it up, and his deadline was extended from today, which was supposed to be in 15 minutes at 5 o'clock, to Thursday, 5 o'clock. I don't know what that means, but
The big trade's happening. At least I think so.
yeah, the Celtics were in rumors for Gordon Hayward involved in Nick Vucevic trades. Maybe we're just the ones who
Miles
started those
Turner.
rumors. Miles
Yeah.
Turner. But yeah, there's a lot of trades can happen with that salary. So I hope that's happening. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so DeRozan obviously picked up his option. Do you think there's still a trade out there for him? Obviously, Lakers can't get him. Nets probably. The rumors have kind of quieted down for that.
I think Nets are going to go all in for James Harden.
Yeah.
And once that fails, they'll switch to DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah. Basically, just get James Harden who can shoot threes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's as good as everywhere else inside the three.
Yeah. Pretty much. All right, so that actually does it. Thank you guys for listening to this podcast, and make sure to come back next week, like I said, for a draft recap and our thoughts on free agency.